Wouldn't it be nice if Adam Sandler didn't count the dates up all so wrong? And wouldn't it be nice to talk together in a format that goes way too long? You know it's time to rewind, baby, for 19 dates of this movie with Drew Barry. Yeah, wouldn't it be nice? Good morning, listeners. It's another beautiful day here on It's Time to Rewind. I'm your host, Bubbawheat, and joining me today is my guest, the Vern. How are you doing today?
Well, hello, Bubbawheat, and I will say this because we're doing this on this day. Happy birthday, buddy! Happy birthday on the day we're recording this episode.
Thank you very much. It's I couldn't ask for a better birthday than to record a podcast with a good friend. So
thank you, man.
Yeah, and this season I've finished going through 51st Dates, one date at a time, and now I'm going through a few more Adam Sandler movies, for better or worse. And this month I'm covering one of his more well-received movies, and a non-Happy Madison production. This is his collaboration with Paul Thomas Anderson back in 2002 with the movie Punch Drunk Love. And, you picked this movie, you said that you were a big fan.
Yes.
So, before we jump too far into it, what's your history with this movie? Did you see it whenever it first came out, or did you discover it a little bit later? And, why was this the Adam Sandler movie that you wanted to talk about?
Well, yeah, I mean, I remember this movie when it came out because I was a huge Adam Sandler fan from his skits on Saturday Night Live and his movies with Happy Gilmore and Billy Madison. And he also was doing The Wedding Singer before this. And it was around The Wedding Singer where I realized, hey, Adam Sandler's got some dramatic chops going on there a little bit. But then when I saw that he was teaming up with Paul Thomas Anderson for his third feature, at this time, he just made Hard 8. Oh, no, I'm sorry. This would be his fourth feature because he did do Hard 8. And then he did Boogie Nights and Magnolia. And this is going to be his next feature. And I remember reading about this going, that's a odd combination. I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson, he had like these big casts for both Boogie Nights and Magnolia, which were like over 3 hours long. And his next feature was going to be a very small romantic comedy with Adam Sandler and Emily Watson, of all people, because I've only remember seeing Emily Watson in Lars von Trier's Breaking the Waves. So when I saw that PTA was going to be putting these people together for a little, rom-com with appearances from Philip Seymour Hoffman and Louise Grossman, I was intrigued. And I remember going to the theater with my good friend Adam, and he was more into like the big, Adam Sandler comedies. He's seen Boogie Nights, but not really super familiar with PTA's other features. And I remember at the movie screening, the audience was there, and they were expecting to have like, this big, wild, wacky Adam Sandler comedy. And what you got is a very, kind of like odd, almost like French New Wave type of style of comedy, which has some dramatic pathos from Sandler. It was just a different watch, and I enjoyed it. I don't know if I actually loved it the first time I saw it, though, but I know that there was something great about it, and it made me want to rewatch it. So when it came out to DVD, I bought that and rewatched it many times. I think each year the movie just kind of grows and grows and grows on me, and it becomes one of my favorite romantic comedies of all time.
Yeah, and I had never seen this one before myself. And in fact, I haven't seen any Paul Thomas Anderson movie before now. I've only seen some of his music videos because I noticed that he directed a lot of Fiona Apple music videos. And
yes, they were like dating at the time. I think this movie was being made too. So
yeah. So my main history with Paul Thomas Anderson has just been those music videos. So this is the first one that I watched, and I didn't really have I kind of knew what to expect. I knew it was kind of a romantic comedy. I knew it was well regarded, and it was more of a like not a full on comedy. It's more of a dramedy, and that's really about all I knew about it. So I one didn't really know what I was expecting, and it's just starts. It just starts right away with Adam Sandler's character on the phone, and he's in what appears to be like just a storage unit, and
Yeah, he sound like plungers for some reason. I guess he
Mhm.
works. That's to like this place that repairs cars, and he sells like novelty items for your bathroom. So plungers and other things for your bathroom. And I believe he's the boss of this company, right? Is he like the owner of this?
I'm not sure because he his character is, what we would now call autistic,
Yeah.
and I think he portrays that uh, relatively well. I mean, it's as well as I can, as a non-autistic person, as far as I can judge, he seems to portray a very three-dimensional character. He definitely has some what appear to be autistic tendencies with his social awkwardness and his moments of rage that he has throughout the movie. And so I'm not sure because he definitely says more than once that he owns the company, but I don't know if he's lying because he does tend to lie quite often, especially in term like whenever he thinks the truth will make him look bad.
That's a good point there. And I like what you said too about the autism angel for it too, because I watching this again, I felt really connected to Adam Sandler's character, Barry Eaton. His mannerisms and things really kind of like spoke to me. And I'm not sure if it's his business or not, and he does tend to like lie to he doesn't want people to see the real him or not. And I found it to be kind of endearing in a way. I still think that he is I don't know if he owns the business because I'm not quite sure what the business is, but he's working with Louis Grossman's character, and it seems that he's like the boss, or like Adam Sandler's the
Mhm.
boss, and Louis Guzman is not, and uh, I don't know. I'm not even quite sure what it is they do. I guess it doesn't really matter too much what the job is. He's selling plungers or bathroom displays. Uh, but it's here where he does meet Lena, played by Emily Watson. But before he meets her, he has a series of phone call conversations. And this was the movie made me laugh, first of all, is all the conversations he has. He has like seven sisters. Seven
Mhm.
sisters who just call to torment him. And in the beginning scene, when he's at the warehouse meeting with customers, each sister is calling him up because they want to know if he's going to be coming to this event that they're having for one of them. And just the way that each sister kind of belittles him, it's sad but funny in a weird way.
Yeah, it's interesting and it's kind of like one of the first clues to the audience that he is this, socially awkward or like I said, what would now probably be called autism. And because he, like from their point of view, he just tends to flake and not show up to these events quite often. And so they want him to show up, and so each of them individually is calling to check up on him and encourage him to come to this party, even though their methods of encouraging him are not very nice.
No, no, not at all. Uh,
Yeah.
I remember this movie coming out probably like a year or so before or after the movie Anger Management came out,
Mhm.
where Adam Sandler is playing this person who has like this lot of rage kind of built up with him, and you kind of can see a lot of Barry Egan into Anger Management as well, because there's the sequences when he's over at the sister's house, and I'm kind of going back and forth with the plot here. But he gets angry and like breaks windows. He gets mad
Yeah.
fat
Yeah, as
shaming.
soon as like basically as soon as he shows up to their house and he's like, you see him letting himself in the door, and you can hear the sisters having a conversation, basically telling a very non like a not a very nice story about him whenever he was younger, that how they would always call him gay boy and he would get so mad, and then he took a hammer and smashed the window, and they
Yeah.
didn't know why he had a hammer. And it's like, as he's coming in, he's like has this moment where he's considering just leaving, but then he does eventually come in. But because they keep going on about this past, this very embarrassing story for him, whenever he was younger, he, he outwardly, he does a good job of masking and basically, acting like it doesn't bother him. But then just a little bit later on in the party, he goes and smashes their three like large plate glass windows.
I love that sequence when he first goes into the door and you hear the sisters talking how they're teasing him, calling him gay boy, and he's got that look where it's like, I should just go home, or maybe I should go with it and do it. There's just some great acting timing on his face where you really kind of feel the pain that he's going through, and like hear what the sister's saying. It's funny. It's like this weird comedic timing that Adam Sandler has that's actually really kind of brilliant, because you feel for this character and yet you're kind of laughing at him, but yet kind of feel for him at the same time. It's just brilliant, just the way he opens the door and walks into a room that I found to be very like endearing and just maybe warm up to the character.
Yeah, and also the way that he's presented in the movie. Whenever we first see him, like in the opening shot, even though it is this corner office in what appears to be a storage unit, like a very large storage unit, and he's wearing this blue business suit, and you're that seems to be perfectly normal. And like I do, it's kind of off-putting. I definitely wasn't sure exactly what was going on whenever I first watch it, but I think I would probably appreciate it more on repeat viewings. Like
Well,
how the movie like really slowly eases you in, because you see what looks like a normal person wearing a business suit at a desk, and then you find out that he's talking about this frequent flyer miles scheme. Like, he's talking to a customer support representative to check to see if this coupon is actually accurate. So that kind of raises some red flags. And then you see him go and open this this like storage unit door and go outside, and you see there's entire like this row of similar doors.
mhm.
And so it's like you realize it's kind of like stripping away at this persona. And then I don't think it's too much later, like I think I guess it wouldn't be in the phone calls, but like one of the first times that one of his sisters shows up in person, she almost immediately like asks, "Why are you wearing a suit? You never wear a suit." And he says, "Well, that's what you're supposed to wear for work."
Mhm. Yeah, I mean the whole like color palette of this in the background is everything is done in blues and everything seems to be very like warm and cool. That sort of like represents his personalities in a way. But then there's like moments of like extreme abrupt violence that happens during his next cool, calm world. There's a moment where he goes out into the street and is just watching traffic, and then all of a sudden there's this car accident that happens. This freaking no, I'm going back and forth here because I can't tell
No,
if
that is like right at the beginning, like right
yeah.
as he opens the door, he steps out of this, his office, and it's this very quiet, serene scene, and then all of a sudden this truck just hits something and then does multiple flips, and it's like just out of nowhere, no explanation. And I had a lot of stuff going on at home, like whenever I was watching that, and I like looked over and I'm like, did I just completely miss something? And so I like had to rewind, and the streaming service was not cooperating very well. So it took me
Oh,
like a while to get it to actually stop and rewind.
oh
And then
shoot.
I realized no, that it did literally just come out of nowhere.
Yeah. and then like this cab car pulls up, the doors open, and they drop this harmonium right there on the street. And I like that harmonium. The harmonium will come back later on because the harmonium is Barry's sort of like personality. It's his way of expressing his emotions, and he takes that harmonium, back into his office, and then Louis Guzman's character is asking him, "Hey, what's that for?" And he's like, "I'm not sure how it got here." You get these weird before we get to the moments of him talking to his sister. It has these like weird moments where like these random colors and shapes are happening. We don't necessarily get any title sequences in this movie until the very end, but
Right.
it's sort of like this weird. It's not even a credit sequence. It's just these weird images of like colors and music going on, and then the movie just kind of begins with him at the factory, and his sisters are calling him up, and he goes to his sister's house. One of his sisters that comes in there, she wants to get him set up on a date, and he's like, "I really don't want to do that because it's going to make me feel nervous and anxious." And he goes to the dinner with his sisters and brothers-in-law. It's gotta be weird to have 7 sisters. That's gonna be weird as hell. They call him gay boy. He gets upset. He smashes the windows.
And then also, I think it was. I don't remember now if it was before or after he smashes the window. I think before, whenever he talks to one of his sister's husbands. I think the main sister, played by Marilyn Rascube,
Yes.
who I definitely recognized her from Mr. Show, and yeah, and I loved seeing her, but he talks to her husband in this brief aside whenever he basically asks for a psychiatrist because he's depressed, and especially like the way that he's talking about this. Again, I think the writing does very well at showing his awkwardness, his autism, like the way that he can't really, he's has difficulty explaining what's going on with him, and he's depressed, but he doesn't have quite the right vocabulary to express that, and he just talks about he doesn't like himself, and then he just randomly cries at times, and then he just starts crying right there.
Yeah, he's talking to one of the brothers who's a dentist played by Robert Smigel, who Robert Smigel, isn't he the voice of that dog from Conan O'Brien?
Triumph.
Triumph, yes, thank you. That's the word. Yes, he's the voice of Triumph the dog, and he tells Barry's like, "You can help me out. Maybe help me get like a shrink or a doctor." And he's like, "I'm a dentist." And randomly cries. Then we're seeing Barry back at his house, or his apartment, I should say. And this is totally early 2000s because Barry does not have a computer, or maybe he does, or the internet's not really big at this time. That's why I tell this like an early 2000s movie. When he calls a phone sex line.
Yeah.
Which, totally a thing of the 2000s. And he's very hesitant about doing this, though, because he's like, "Is this confidential? I don't feel right giving you my information over the phone." And he talks to a sex worker, and Barry just wants to talk to someone. He's not really talking a phone sex line just to basically get off. He wants to try and make a connection with somebody, and he does that early.
Yeah, he wants to have like a real one-on-one conversation with a woman, because it almost like they don't spell it out, because this movie doesn't really spell out anything. It just kind of presents you with a lot of the information, and you have to kind of connect a lot of the dots yourself. And you get the impression that he is just wanting to make a connection, almost like he wants to practice talking to a woman, is the idea that I got. And and you do get some elements of him like being he is intelligent, he's just socially awkward because he does live independently. Like we see that he does live alone. He's whether or not he's the owner of this business, which I think it's kind of like a almost like an Amazon fulfillment center kind of thing. But
Yes.
before that was a thing, that he probably, he buys these plungers and novelty items from other places, and then he finds um, buyers, and then he just basically is the middleman.
It reminds me of a company that my dad had because he was a distributor for VHS tapes. So he has all the different lines of VHS tapes that are sold to stores like Target and Musicland at the time. And when I worked for him, he had this factory that had different VHS and DVD lines, and I would work in that factory, put things together to ship out to these other companies. So that's why I kind of took from Adam Sandler's company is that, but he's selling stuff more like stuff for your kitchen or your bathroom and selling that stuff to different stores and whatnot. But very like low. I wouldn't say low grade stuff, but yeah, like an Amway type of thing. Like he has all these different lines of toiletries and just selling them off places.
Yeah, the one like big deal that we actually hear about in the context of the movie is that they sold a plunger that has like a pair of dice on the top of it to every bathroom in this casino
Mm-hmm.
in Vegas. So that
Yeah.
was a big deal for them.
So he's talking to the sex worker and he's telling her that, my business is going good. I'm going to diversify things and hopefully things will get better on. And then she courts him to masturbate and he, goes to bed and wakes up. And the next day, I just they talked for like a long time because she calls him back the next day and her name is Georgia. She's like, "Hey, how you doing? What time did you go to bed last night?" And she's like, "I did not go to sleep until like a long time." And she's all being all very nice to him. And then she's like, "You know how we're talking, and I'm telling you about my rent problems, and I'm really hoping that you can help me out with some money." And Bear's like, "I'm really sorry, I can't. I just don't have the money to do that." And she's like, "Well, what if I call your wife? Maybe I should call back and talk to your girlfriend." He's like, "I don't like this at all," and he hangs up on her and he goes to work. And when he's at work the next day, this is where the music becomes sort of more sporadic. This is from John Bryan, who did the work on PTA's last feature before this, Magnolia. And it's all this weird, like, percussion type of style instruments that's going on there. And it really helps represent the feelings that are going on in Barry Eaton's mind because it's very weird and kind of sporadic. And when watching it, you feel kind of like tense the way that he does because while he's at work, his sister comes in with Lena because she really wants her to be introduced to him. And then you have the phone call from the sex worker trying to extort money. And then during all this stuff that's going on, you have stuff going on in the background. And it really kind of helps for me, sort of like represents what someone with ADHD, and I'm getting tested for this myself in July, and just having everything go on at once there, you just kind of feel the craziness that's happening in his brain. I'm sorry, Bubbawheat, I'm going all over the place here, but it's just
Yeah,
so good.
that's all right. That's like that is a great scene too that you talk about whenever he's first like really physically introduced to Lena, because she does show up a couple different places. And I didn't notice it's like Lena was the girl that's the woman that asked if it was okay to park in front of his place.
Yeah, and she's wearing like this red outfit too, and he's wearing blue, and it's very
Mhm.
small symbolism that's going on with that whole thing. But he doesn't have much of a conversation with her because once he sees her, he kind of like just goes and hides. But now that she is there and they have to talk to each other, he doesn't quite know exactly what to say to her. You know,
Yeah, and his sister leaves, and he gets the call from the from Georgia, like two different times where she is really escalating the threats.
Yeah.
She goes from the first, well, I guess technically the second call, but the call whenever she calls him in the morning right before he leaves for work. It's very, can you help me out with my rent? It's very, nice. It's a subtle scamming.
Mhm.
And then whenever she calls him at work, which was a number that he didn't even give them, so
Yeah.
that's very suspicious right there. And then she's like, you don't know who you're dealing with. Like, if you don't do this, then you're gonna go get in a world of hurt. And
That was my favorite part too, where she calls back and says, "Hang up the phone and see what happens to me, asshole." And he's like, "Okay, thank you." What? Thank you? What do you mean? Like he's whatever.
yeah,
uh,
because he doesn't, at the same time, like, he doesn't want to deal with this in front of Lena. And also in the background, the forklift crashes into the a stack of boxes, and so there's chaos going on in the background as well.
and that's why this movie kind of speaks to me a lot, because there could be stuff going on in the background, but if I have something I'm dealing with, first of all, I have to deal with just that. If something else happens, I have to ignore that. I just can only just concentrate on one thing. So his main focus is on Lena, and I would be the same thing too. If a cute girl's talking to me and something else happens in the background, I would just be like, "Okay, are you guys okay? All right. So hi, what's your name? How long do you know my sister for? Are you worked together for long, or how long you?" And I would just say these randomly weird questions to a pretty girl and ignore everything happening around me or behind me and whatnot. I just want to just concentrate on this one person. And I find it be kind of weird, and well, it's a very sweet moment. Is that Barry has these seven sisters, and Lena says, "I saw you with your seven sisters, and I had to meet you," because she tells him, "I was the only child," and Barry's like, "That must have been really sweet," and she's like, "No, it was terrible. I hated it." And both these people envy each other's lives.
Hmm.
Barry envies Lena because she had no siblings, and Lena envies Barry's because he had all these siblings and all this family. And yeah, I like that very much, that they both liked each other for what they don't have or have. So
Right, and Lena travels all the time, and Barry is uh, trying to, he's getting these frequent flyer miles, and at the time, he doesn't really have any plan with with them. He's just like, frequent flyer miles, they're just like currency.
yeah,
It's worth more than what the deal was. And I did love the trivia that I read that scheme was based on uh, a a real life promotion, and,
that's
and something that somebody figured out, that they can buy these 25-cent packs of pudding, and for $3,000 they can get 1.2 million miles.
yeah. I mean, yeah, just like it's healthy choice put together this promotion where you buy 10 items or so, you get 500 frequent flyer miles. And this guy finds out that on the pudding cups they put the barcodes on these pudding cups right there, so you can just trade those in to get more mileage points. And it's a marketing mistake, as he says, but he's going to take advantage of that. And here's the kind of a strange. Well, I'll get to that point later there, because Lena does ask Barry out for a date and asks to give him her number and address. And this is kind of the moment where you get to see Barry kind of like calm down a little bit and get things more. His mind's more focused in a
Yeah,
way.
he does tend to act the most normal whenever he's with Lena.
Yeah. Uh, and then they go on a date, very sweet date. But then Lena does bring up a story about the doghouse, and that gets to have Barry very upset and anxious about it. So much so that he does go to the bathroom and destroys it. And I can totally understand where he comes for that. I don't destroy things, but when things do become overwhelming for me, I end up like punching myself. So I get that sort of notion where he's not in control of something and he gets very self conscious and aware of things. So he
Hmm.
does destroy the bathroom, and then they end up kicking him out because he has that little scuffle with the waiter or manager, and I find it to be kind of a sweet thing and
Yeah, and
something.
I think that's another more comedic moment in the movie too, because you see him smash up the bathroom, and then he goes back to the table like nothing happens, and then almost immediately the manager asks him to step aside, and he's like, "You just destroyed our bathroom." And he's like, "No, I didn't."
No, it did. How did it be destroyed? I don't know. Your hand's bleeding, sir. I cut it. How? On my knife? Sir, the bath was destroyed. Yeah, but I didn't do it. We're gonna have to leave, sir. No, but can I just stay? Sir, get out. Please, can I just stay? It'll be just fine. I'm gonna crack your head open if you don't leave right now. And the fact that Lena doesn't really ask questions about it, and she just goes with them. I know that when my friends watch this movie too, they're thinking, why is she with this person? This guy is obviously a crazy guy, but she sees something in him, and they end up going home together. And one of my favorite moments is there's two favorite moments of this is when she wants to kiss him. They clearly she wants to kiss him, but they don't, and he just says, "Have a great trip," and bye bye. And he
Yeah,
walks down the hallway. He's like, "And bye bye, you stupid motherfucker." And about you goddamn stupid motherfucker. But then once he goes to the door of the apartment, about to leave, the person at the front desk says, "The phone's for you." He takes the phone, and Lena says, "No, I just want you to know that I really want to kiss you." And he says, "Really?" And she said, "Yes." And he goes and tries to find her apartment, and he gets lost. And you got that beautiful score from John Bryan just playing softly, and then he ends up fighting her. He actually almost leaves the apartment. He almost get locked out of the apartment building, but he does find her door, and it's the most sweetest kiss in movies that I've seen. There's another kiss that happens later on too, but I just found that first kiss they have to be just something like magical and just very. I don't know. If you watch this, you don't have you don't feel joy from that scene. I don't know. I don't know if I can trust you as a human being because I found that kiss to be just so uplifting.
yeah, and I feel like it's very relatable for a lot of people too, because it's like you can tell that he was just following Lena to her apartment, and
Mm-hmm.
then he was just following the directions to the exit and not really paying attention to what number her door was. He was just in the moment. And then whenever he has this revelation, like right whenever he's right at the front door about to leave and gets this inclination to go back, then he's like, what was her room
Yeah,
number? It's
yep.
like, what direction did I go?
Uh huh.
And like it's the perfect kind of apartment building, because it's like this sprawling thing, and all the doors look exactly the same, all the hallways look exactly the same. Like they picked the perfect location for that moment.
Yeah, there's a filmmaker named Jacques Tati who did a movie called Playtime, which I need to watch because people are saying a lot of the elements from that movie you can find in this movie as well. It feels like Paul Thomas Anderson was doing his own take on like French New Wave comedies from Godard and Tati, and even Jacques Demy in a way too from his Umbrellas and Cherbourg type of thing. And this movie was a huge hit in France, so there you go. Uh, but then I think it's after this moment is when Barry gets attacked by the brothers. And we got to mention too that the one of the guy who's orchestrating this is Philip Seymour Hoffman, who
Hmm.
has this mattress place, D&D Mattress Man. He's got this like mattress furniture store, which looks very much like a Goodwill, but in the back, I guess he's doing a phone sets operation, and uh, Ashley Clark is the Georgia girl who says that hey, this guy's got a lot of money, and so Philip Seymour Hoffman sends these other guys to shake him down, and they do. They come over and they take him and they force him to give $500, and then he tries to escape, and they're like, "Where are you running from? We know where you are." And so he's out of money, but he still manages, even though he just got attacked. I guess
I
he's
mean,
just not
he's
money.
not necessarily out of money because like that was
Oh,
something that I wouldn't call
oh,
it a plot hole, but he says that $500 is a lot of money for me,
yeah,
and but the 500 was the limit from the ATM.
that's true. Okay, so yeah, I guess he's not out of money completely. He just said that's the amount of money that I can take out during the day. So he probably has a lot more in savings and whatnot. So okay, that makes sense now. All right. When I watched him, like, wait, he's out of money, but now he's going to go on a trip to Florida. How's he? And he can't redeem.
Hawaii. Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought about that too. It's like, he just lost $500 and he was talking about how that's a lot of money for him. And
yeah,
then he's able to buy all this pudding in order to try and get the frequent flyer miles to go to Hawaii. And then he buys the Hawaii ticket on top of that anyways.
yeah. Because they take like 6 to 8 weeks for things to be redeemed, and he gets upset about that. And I don't know if you noticed this too, Bubbawheat, but after he's talking to that representative from Healthy Choice, and he's told that he can't get the money right away or the things revoked or reimbursed, he punches his hand on the wall, and then he leans his hand over to the harmonium, and his knuckles spell out the word love.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I would have noticed that on my own, but I was kind of scrolling through the IMDb trivia section
Okay.
and I did catch that before it happened. So I was on the lookout for that.
Uh, and then he goes to Hawaii, but the choice of music here is different. And I remember when I saw this in theaters, I recognized the singing voice as being Shelley Duvall. And I thought, huh, that's an odd choice to have Shelley Duvall sing for a movie. And at first I thought, is this an original song that was made for the movie? Like maybe Shelley Duvall had a pop record in the 70s or so, and he decided to use it again for this movie. But no, the song that's used is He Needs Me from Popeye, which starred Shelley Duvall as Olive
Mhm.
Oil and Robin Williams as Popeye. And they have this moment. Harry Nielsen was the composer of the song, and John Bryant kind of remixed it to be for this movie. And I don't know, what were your thoughts of this song being used here?
I thought it was a really interesting choice. I didn't I didn't recognize it. It's been
Yeah,
way too long since I've seen Popeye.
same. Yes, same here.
But I did really like the lyrics because it is a lot of her just repeating, he needs me, he needs me, he needs me. And so, like they use that song in the trailer too,
Mhm.
because
Yep.
I also checked out the trailer earlier today, and that is very uh, apt for it's really telling that he needs this woman in his life because she completes him,
Yeah.
and for lack of a better phrase, that uh, he lives better whenever
Mhm.
he's around her, and she kind of makes him makes up his social weaknesses
Yeah.
whenever he's around her.
And one of the great sort of like visual things that happens in this movie is he's in Hawaii, he's at a phone booth, he's calling his sister, trying to find out her number. And his sister's like, "What do we number for? Huh? What do we number for?" He's like, "Just tell me the number, right? Stop treating me this way. I hate when you treat me this way." And the phone booth is off. I should say this right now. The phone booth is off, and he's calling a hotel room. A guy answers, the wrong number. He finally gets a hold of Lena, and the telephone booth lights up. And very kind of sweet moment. They decide to meet up. And here's what we got, one of the most, I think, iconic moments of this movie, and probably one of the most iconic kisses that happen in cinema history, where she shows up, he's there, he walks towards her, and he just goes to like shake her hand, and she goes in for the kiss right away, and they stumble and they sort of trip on each other, but they're just like these shadows kissing together with the other silhouettes of people happening by them, and just I think it's one of those images that you'll see come up here, and they talk about romantic kisses in movies, and it's the use of the shadows, and very cool. Robert Elswit was a cinematographer who also helped shot, Boyton Nights and Heart 8 and Magnolia, and I think he might have done some work on There Will Be Blood. I'm not 100% sure, but I know he did this other two, and oh my gosh, man, just very, just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, and I brought up that blue suit in the beginning, and I think it's also interesting that he does wear this exact same outfit the entire movie. Like
Yeah,
it's the only outfit that he wears, and again, I feel like that I've read that can be a sign of autism as well as wearing the same clothes. They're, I mean, not necessarily the exact same outfit, but in terms of like sensory sensations, whenever you find an outfit that you like, you tend uh, there's a tendency to just go overboard and have multiples of that same outfit, or to wear the same outfit over and over again because it's they like how it fits.
yeah, totally. They have a very kind of sweet dinner in over a restaurant. We go back to her place, and we have to talk about the scene really quickly where they're in bed and they're kissing, and she's like, "I love your face. Your cheeks are so cute. I just want to bite them and chew them. You're so cute." And he looks at her. He's like, "You're. I'm looking at your face right now, and I just want to like smash it. I just want to take a sledgehammer and smash it." And you're so pretty. And I remember just like laughing at the sequence, and I know people in the theater they were laughing, but it's like an awkward type of laugh. Like, who the fuck says this on a date where you're kissing somebody? I'm like, that's something I might say too, because I'm not quite sure exactly what to say. And but then she's like, she reciprocates that and goes, "I want to take your eyeball and scoop them out and chew on them." And she's like, and he's like, "This is funny, this is nice." They wake up in bed together, and he's not wearing the blue suit when they're in the next day at the hotel room. He has a robe on. He's not wearing the blue suit, and very kind of a sweet thing. So they go back to, I guess, I'm in California. I guess they go back to California from
Yeah,
Beach,
California,
right?
like L.A. Yeah,
LA, yep.
yeah, because they're both situated. Like that's him and Georgia both say they're from L.A.
Yeah. Yep. And then, so they go back, and he's backing out of the garage with her in it, and the brothers with a pickup truck slam into the car, and Lena is hurt, and he sees that Lena is hurt, and he becomes brave. Our boy becomes brave. The brothers come after him, one with like, I guess, some sort of like
A
rod,
crowbar.
rod. Yeah, crowbar. And Barry just punches him out, takes the crowbar, knocks the other dude out with it, goes to the truck, breaks the window, and kind of threatens the other dude before giving back the thing, and which I thought, wow, go ahead, Barry. He just found the power of love really propels there, and he takes her to the hospital, and then realizes there that, hey, these guys are gonna keep coming after me. I've got to go ahead and do something about this, and he dials directory assistance, finds out the location of this mattress place. He has this great moment talking with our Georgia person, and yells at her, and talks to our Philip Seymour Hoffman character in this great small performance. I mean, this role could have been played by anyone, and I'm glad that Philip Seymour Hoffman did this because he is just great. It says here, did you just tell me to fuck myself? Like, you're a dead man, right? How do I know what your name is, man? You could be lying to me. But he goes all the way to Utah to have this confrontation, and they have this great moment where they stand up to each other, and Barry's like, "I've got this greatest love of my life right now. It makes me stronger." I would say that's that mattress, man. Before I beat the living shit out of you, and I guess he stands up for himself, and I have to ask you this, sir. He doesn't really ask for his money back, or does he ask for his money back? I don't know. It seems like he wanted to stand up for himself. Maybe he didn't even care about the money. I don't know, but
Yeah, I think at this point he didn't care about the $500. He just wanted to make sure that this was going to be over. That that's that,
Yeah.
and I do love that whenever he leaves, that the Philip Seymour Hoffman character, he has to get one last dig, and he's like, "Yeah, leave, you pervert." And then Barry starts coming after him, and he's like, "That's that, that's that."
Yes, sorry. I'll back away. I'm sorry now. Don't go back here again. And I think this is an important moment to the movie because this is where Barry shows them like confidence and he's strong in himself right there too. He's not hiding away from things and he's just bold and out there. And it's a very kind of cathartic thing. So you're right. He didn't really care about more about the money. It's more about self pride, and that's what he got in that moment is him, standing up for himself and.
Yeah, even though he did make the mistake of and this scene happens before he goes to Utah or Ohio, whichever it was, before he goes to the mattress company. Like he comes back to the uh, hospital, but Lena's already been discharged,
Yeah.
and so he has to go back to her place and basically apologize. And she's like, "You left me at the hospital. You shouldn't have done that."
Yeah. I'm sorry, I won't do that again. And I think he's still kind of like learning because I think he was one to just make sure that no one attacks her. And there's a lot of elements in the movie too where he's on a date with her and Leah said something about, "Hey, is your sister saying you're straight?" And he's got to go, "My sister's a liar. That never happened before." And he's now telling her the truth, saying that I was a sex worker before we met. And I'm very sorry these people attacked me, and I want to make sure that they never attack her. And if you just give me some time, I can get frequent flyer miles redeemed because I want to go traveling with you. I never want to be away from you, that type of thing. So I promise you I will be a better person. And yes, she does make him, a better person. I don't know exactly what he does for her. No, in fact, maybe it's just the devotion thing. He's got this girl that he's completely devoted to, and he'll make sure that she's protected and loved, and no matter if she's going away on trips right there, he's always going to like be there for her because she's constantly on the move all the time, and she probably doesn't have time for relationships. And knowing that there's someone there, always there for her, is something she actually needs.
Yeah, I think this movie is interesting, even though I do think that Lena as a character is probably a little bit underwritten. You know,
Sure.
this, but you could explain it, and I think it makes sense that this movie is very much from Barry Egan's point of view. I
Yes.
think that he is almost. I'm trying to think. I think there may be just like one brief scene with the sex worker, or one or two brief scenes like catching up with Georgia and Philip Seymour Hoffman, that where Barry is not a part of the scene, but the majority of the movie, it's Adam Sandler front and center,
Oh yeah.
like 99% of the movie. So and I think that all of this weird stuff going on in the background, it is to help kind of put things into his autistic perspective, autism, ADHD, whatever it all might be. Could be a combination of several of these things. That this movie is from the perspective of being in his head, and so that's kind of why part of the reason why Lena might be underdeveloped as a character, because we know she travels, she's works with Barry's sister, um, but her role is the love interest.
Hmm? Yeah. Very true. You mentioned something earlier about how this movie was representative of autism. Well, Adam Sandler won Best Actor at the Gaijan International Film Festival, and the Gaijan International Film Festival is or is Austrian festival. It's held in Spain. Sorry, I read that wrong there. I thought it was a. I really sorry. I was reading the is that an autistic film festival? But no,
It's an
I'm way off there. So sorry about that. But the movie did. It won Best Director at the 2002 Cannes Film Festival.
Well, and we
And
also have to remember that this came out in 2002, and I think like Rain Man was in the 90s. This is 2002,
yeah,
and Big Bang Theory was started in 2006, so it
mm,
was 4 years after that. And even in Big Bang Theory, it was still called Asperger's syndrome. So
yes, that's
that,
true.
that kind of puts you in the timeline of where this movie was made in terms of how the world kind of viewed autism compared to where we are now.
That's true. Adam Sandler was nominated for a Golden Globe for this movie. Was nominated for Best Kiss. Emily Watson was nominated or won for Best Supporting Actor at the Toronto Film Critics and was nominated for Vancouver Film Critics. This movie just got a recent release on Criterion Edition, and it's cool because it's got the Cannes press conference. It talks about the real person who did I said the whole healthy choice scam in a way, and
Mhm. Well,
kind of a
that one's not a scam.
not scam. Not I don't know the way to put it though, but yeah, it's not a scam. He wasn't trying to like rip anyone off. He just found about this loophole that
Scheme,
happened.
I think, is
Scheme, yeah. This okay. I found this about this loophole and just took advantage of it. It's like yeah, and anyone would have done the same thing too if they saw that there. Like sweet, I'm gonna get this deal to get all these freaking flyer miles by buying pudding. Sure, hell yeah, I would. That's a lot of pudding though. I would not want to eat that much pudding, but hey, I'm not a person that wants to fly that much, so good on them for that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't think I finished my thoughts. Whenever I
Oh,
first brought that up, earlier in the conversation, we're both kind of get easily distracted. But I did like bring that up again because we were talking about how Lena and Barry were opposites, and she travels a lot, but Barry had never traveled before. He'd never been on a plane before flying to Hawaii, even though he was collecting these frequent flyer miles without any sort of grand plan. And it just so happened to work out with something that he could use in his new relationship with Lena.
yeah. Well, it works out just perfectly for them. I would like to see another movie with them, but at the same time, I really don't. I like that it's kind of a one and done deal. And I'm excited for you to go back and see other Paul Thomas Anderson movies because this is probably the only like lighthearted comedy that he made. I mean, there's funny moments in both Magnolia and Boogie Nights and even Heart Eight, but those are just more dramas, and those are like very
Hmm.
uh, uh, ensemble dramas, especially like Magnolia. My gosh, the thing's like an ensemble piece, and it goes back and forth to all the different like characters. It's amazing watching. I think after this movie, Paul Thomas Anderson had like a tonal switch because right after this, he made There Will Be Blood, um,
Mm.
and then Inherent Vice,
And the
uh,
Master.
The Master, yup, and the one that oh gosh, I'm blanking on it right now. Licorice Pizza,
Mm.
but yeah, just very yeah, just all these different types of tonal things happening in his work, and it's very very cool. He's just one of my favorite filmmakers. And he mentioned his music videos that he did for Fiona Apple. I like the work he did for Haim, and
Mm.
all Haim will be in Licorice Pizza. So yeah, very very, very good. This is the only movie that's like 90 minutes long. Most of his movies are like 2.5 hours long, or 2 hours, like 3 hours long. So this is the shortest film that he made too. And he wanted to make this movie because he's a big fan of Adam Sandler. He loved his comedy.
Yeah, yeah, I saw that. Another bit of IMDb trivia about a year or two before he made this movie. He said, he was asked what actors did he want to work with, and his answer was Adam Sandler and uh, there will be blood guy.
Daniel Day Lewis.
Yeah, Daniel Day-Lewis, and the the interviewer thought that he was making a joke because those are two very diametrically opposed actors. But then his next movie was Punch Drunk Love, and then the one after that was There Will Be Blood.
Yeah, and I think Adam Sandler is perfect for this role. Daniel Day Lewis could not do this role. All right, he could not.
And I did really like Adam Sandler in this role. He did. I think it was really well suited for him. He
Yeah,
really disappeared into the role, and he only had a few moments of whenever Barry had his moments of rage, like whenever he's yelling on the phone, and the few various moments that felt kind of like Billy Madison,
Hmm.
Happy Gilmore, uh, typical Adam Sandler going into a rage moments that you did see sprinkles of that come out, but that it still felt very appropriate to the character that we saw on screen, and uh, I did really enjoy the movie. It took me a while to fall into the groove of it. I'd say it took me a good like half hour before I kind of really got into the groove, because it is very awkward, and it's awkward on purpose, and it kind of jumps in straight away. It doesn't spoon feed you with the plot and everything that's going on. um, and so it did take me a while to get into it, but I by the time it got to the end, and especially like whenever he did have that hero moment, whenever he uh, beats up the four brothers, that's like a really great moment of that's a great cheer moment in the movie. And then the fact that it does basically have a happy ending, I I appreciated that. And overall, I did enjoy the movie. And thank you for choosing it and giving me an opportunity, a reason to check this one out.
Well, thank you. I will say to people too here in this episode that if you're expecting an Adam Sandler movie like The Waterboy or Big Daddy, this movie was made after Little Nicky, all right? And then he made sort of drama. I can totally understand why people were not into this movie as much because it's not a typical Adam Sandler movie. But I think his acting is just really good, and it's a little upsetting that he goes back to doing his sort of like regular Adam Sandler stick with like Mr. Deeds and Eight Crazy Nights. He didn't get another like serious dramatic role until Uncut Gems
Mhm.
came out in like 2018.
Yeah, and that's I've that's been on my list to cover. Hopefully, I'll be covering that next month. But it's that one seems like it's a hard one to get guests for, because it's so uh,
Well,
uncomfortable to watch, and there are definitely
I'm
fans of it, but
I'm all
it
about uncomfortedness. I love uncomfortable movies, so I will gladly come back on to discuss that if you want me to.
well, I have a guest lined up,
Okay,
as long as we can get our scheduled worked out. But if he falls through, maybe I'll have you back.
okay, fair
Uh,
enough.
but we'll
No
see
worries.
about that. But again, thank you so much for joining me
Oh,
and
dude,
coming
thank
on and
you.
talking about Punch Drunk Love. I did really enjoy the movie, and I have. I think enjoyed all of these Adam Sandler movies a lot more than I was expecting to, for the most part. I I did skip some of the ones that I don't think that I would like. I
Sure.
did not watch Little Nicky, but I'm glad that I watched The Wedding Singer,
Mhm.
and I even enjoyed Blended for what it was, and Click, and now I'm kind of going on a darker trend, going on into Punch Drunk Love, and then next month, fingers crossed, will be Uncut Gems. Going
Yeah.
way darker.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, Safdie brothers, man. Yeah, they made some really good, intense movies right there. So yeah, I'll be excited to check out that episode when it airs.
All right. Well, thanks again, and here's your moment to let people know where else you can be found online, and
Oh,
let people know any upcoming projects that you might be doing.
sure. Hi, well, I'm Vern from Cinema Recall. I do movie podcast with my sometimes co-host Ashley, and I know by the time this episode airs, there'll probably be an episode out with Ryan from Soundtrack Your Life talking about our favorite movie soundtrack songs, original soundtrack songs. That should be coming out here soon. And then I had on Jalen Sala from In Session Film, and we talked about actors and if they should be supported or not. And we talked about one Ryan Gosling movie. I'm also working right now an audio drama adaptation of Reservoir Dogs, but with an all female cast. Be patient with me on this episode because I am working and I'm trying to do that and release episodes and also go to work. And right now, my mind's just like sporadic right now, and it's difficult to like put all these things into a basket. And so I apologize if I'm late on some of these episodes, but they'll be there. We got so many great episodes. Bubbawheat has been a guest on our podcast too. We did a whole episode talking about Groundhog Day, and he performed a scene, and I was on his podcast. It's Time to Rewind, talking about a certain scene in Groundhog Day, and he's been on here. He was on our Clue audio drama that was released, playing the role of Mr. Peacock, and that was a lot of fun. So check that out as well. We do audio dramas and movie reviews, just a lot of just great things, just random sporadic things happening at cinemarecall.net. We're going to be going to the Rabbit Hole podcast team later on in July or so check us out there as well. Wow, that's a lot. But yeah, Cinema Recall, find us anywhere you find your internet stuff. Cinema Recall. Thank you.
All right, and as always, I am Bubbawheat, and you can find me on all social media where I'm at Bubbawheat. You can find this show, It's Time to Rewind, on all the available podcatchers, and we also have a Facebook group, It's Time to Rewind, a time loop group, and you can join that to discuss episodes as they come out. You can also have discussions and share memes about other time loop movies and TV shows. All that stuff is welcome, and also keep up to date with what I will be covering in future seasons. And like I said, next month will hopefully be Uncut Gems. And then, let's see, that'll be August. And in September, I may have one more Adam Sandler bonus episode, or I may be ready to start my next season, which is going to be, I think the working title right now is Red Who, and I'm going to be going into some British sci-fi TV, and I'm going to be covering some Red Dwarf and Doctor Who are kind of the primary focus. Also found a show called Sapphire and Steel, which apparently has a couple time loop episodes. And if I find anything else out there with some British sci-fi that has time loops, I will be covering that. But it'll be a mix of time loop and time loop adjacent episodes, and also just kind of some regular episodes of Doctor Who and Red Dwarf, because I'm a big fan of Red Dwarf, and I'm a relatively new fan of Doctor Who, and I'm looking for an excuse to kind of catch up and get current with that series as well. So that should be a lot of fun, and so look forward to that. And until next time, I will see you again for breakfast next month.